I think what makes us different is we truly are mostly a made from scratch. And the family, it's a family-owned company, and how they bring people together for about bringing families together, bringing communities together. They're just a very strong family who care about creating those moments for family.
Hey there, Omaha. Welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and breakfast is something that we can all get behind, and I think that's why my guests today have been so successful. They are part of a restaurant group that has restaurants in Kearney, Lincoln, and now several in Omaha, all since 2019. Joining me today, Tamra Johnson and Angie Padgett from Good Evans. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having us. We're happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you here. And because we have multiple voices on the show today, I would love to start by just allowing each of you to introduce yourselves, tell me your position with the company, and how many years you've been working there.
Do you want me to go first, Angie?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Wonderful. Well, I'm Tamra Johnston. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Weiss Restaurant Groups, and have been only here for 9 months, so I'm relatively new. I live here in Omaha, Nebraska. My kids go to Elkhorn, so proud Omaha mom.
I'm Angela Padgett. I've been with the company for a little over 5 years. I am the kitchen manager at our Lincoln location, and I'm also part of the executive chefs, and I help create part of this menu.
She's an amazing chef.
I cannot wait to talk about the menu and get all your thoughts on exactly what we're looking at here. But I want to start overall with more of a broad perspective. And obviously, Good Evans, it's expanded a lot. You guys have 5 locations now, a couple in Omaha. I was talking in the intro, several cities across Nebraska. So people know about this brand pretty well. But just in case somebody's listening to this and they're like, what is this place? Or they haven't stopped into Good Evans before. So many breakfast places available across Omaha and Lincoln. What do you think makes Good Evans stand out? What is kind of your calling card?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
I think what makes us different is we truly are mostly a made from scratch. And the family, it's a family-owned company, and how they bring people together for about bringing families together, bringing communities together. They're just a very strong family who care about creating those moments for family in a fun, I think it's by far for me the best breakfast brunch place in Nebraska by far. And once you go there and taste the eats, that's when you experience it. But who better to talk about that than the chef?
I think what makes us stand out from everyone else is the fact that most of our stuff is made from scratch. Our gravy is made from scratch. Our pancake batters are all made from scratch. Our Pop-Tarts are made from scratch. I can go on and on. The bulk of our menu we make in kitchen. We are in the restaurant at 5:30 in the morning. We are getting ready to open up at 6:30. We try to make everything fresh, hot and ready for you when you arrive. And I think that's what makes Good Evans stand out from everyone else.
It certainly does. You can taste that quality. It doesn't taste like you're eating a bunch of stuff that came out of a can or out of a box. It does have that fresh taste to it. Tamra, you said something interesting there. You talked about how the family behind the Weiss family wants to create a community through this restaurant. And there are certain restaurants that you go into and you can feel that, where it doesn't just feel transactional, like you're having a meal and then the restaurant is trying to get you out of there as quickly as possible so they can turn your table. How has Good Evans created that? Why does that feeling exist in this restaurant, do you think?
I think it exists because it's so genuine from the family. If you meet Brett and Christy Weiss and their 5 children and a growing family, you would see it right away. They really care about those intentional moments. I've been blown away just about how authentic they are in everything, whether it's their faith, their care for their people, their care for their family, that they really make this a company where they want you to be a part of it. And that feeling that they want created at their restaurant for those family moments at the table, it's an experience you'll remember. It's creating a tighter family unit, whether that's the people you work with or the people you live with at home. They genuinely mean it. And that, for me, is a feeling I haven't got experience in my 24 career years. So this being pretty new to me, I believe it. I believe that this family truly means it.
I can definitely agree with all of that. I've been with the company for over 5 years, and I've worked for different corporations and different companies. You definitely don't feel like just another number here. They know your name when they come in. Their parents come in and visit. They know our staff. They greet the staff by name. Everybody knows them. We hug each other. We truly are a very large family. For being a company, each store, we are our own little family within, and then we all know each other, outside. And everyone's just welcoming and nice. So whether you're new coming in, whether you're a regular coming in, we just greet you as a family.
You just brought up something really interesting that I wanted to ask about. And you're kind of talking about this aspect of the whole company, all 5 locations. It's like an overall family, but then each individual location is like its little like micro family. Mm-hmm. And I'm always curious when I talk to restaurateurs who have multiple locations, how much do you try and have that deliver that exact same experience at each location? So if somebody visits the Good Evans in Lincoln, they're going to get the exact same experience they get, in Omaha. Or do you kind of allow each location to kind of like have its own individual personality and lean into, more of the customers that it's serving? How does that play out at Good Evans? Is everything very similar, or does each location kind of have a unique spin on how the experience is delivered?
I think we have an overall platform that we know so that everything is consistent, but then we also have that personable aspect where these are our crew members. This is our personality. We're going to let it shine. These are our managers. We're going to let them shine. But overall, the menus stay consistent. Everything stays, the service is consistent. But yes, we let everyone's individuality just, come through and shine.
I think that's beautifully stated, and I so agree with that. I mean, we should expect that the delightful food experience is consistent each and every time, and we're thoughtful in our technologies and our partnerships with our vendors like Cisco and PepsiCo that we're creating that very consistent experience. But I can say, I live in Elkhorn. We have an Elkhorn location. I've been to all 5 of our locations, and sneak peek, we will have a 6th location open up in Lincoln in 2026.
We're dropping breaking
excited.
News here.
Breaking
Congratulations.
News. But I do feel a difference. When I'm at Lincoln, it's an energy, it's booming, it's vibing. It's our busiest location. It's thriving in Lincoln. It's so fun to go to. Obviously, my favorite chef is there. So, of course, I love going to Lincoln. But also proud being, from Elkhorn, and I go into the Elkhorn location, and the general manager there, Eric, has a very just energetic, sparkling personality. He cares so much about that experience and his guests. I see his guests when I'm there going up and giving Eric a hug. I love that there can be that personal touch as well as that consistent experience, both to be had at Good Evans.
All right, favorite chef. We need to talk about this menu a little bit, because I feel like there are, with a lot of breakfast places, they kind of fall into one of 2 buckets. One is they are like super traditional, and it's like pancakes, omelets, French toast. Like, it's your classic diner. You go in and okay, I'm just getting a like well-cooked breakfast. And then there's the ones on the other end that are making like cinnamon roll pancakes, and they're, deep frying all kinds of stuff and putting it on eggs Benedict and just doing wild things that look great on Instagram, may or may not taste great. I feel like Good Evans falls in the middle. And I think I have some ideas on why, but I would like to hear it just from you, kind of as the menu has come together, as you understand it, and you guys have tweaked things, you've added things. How do you describe the food?
I describe the food as welcoming to all. Whether you're a foodie or whether you just want your classic breakfast like from your grandma's kitchen, we have that aspect for you. I think that for some foodie options, we have a couple of really good varieties. I think if you're just a traditional classic breakfast person, we also can accommodate that. I feel like for Good Evans, everyone who comes through the door should feel welcome. You should feel welcome. You should know that when you sit down and look at this menu, there's going to be something for you. Even the pickiest of eaters, we have something for you, and everyone has allergies, sensitivities, whatever it may be, we still want you to come and feel welcome. We want you to have an option and a variety of food that you can enjoy. I feel like at Good Evans, we want it to be an experience. It's not just we're going to go out and have a meal. We're going to go out and we're going to have a beautiful experience. We're going to sit down. We're going to have some great food. We're going to have some great service. And it's just, that's what we go for, Good Evans.
And I think you can see that in the menu. And that's what I've experienced on the many times that I've visited, is like, I've had just a straight up just plate of buttermilk pancakes. They're fantastic. I've been told, I haven't had it yet, but I've been told the sweet potato pancake is like legendary. And that's on the opposite end of the spectrum. That's more of the foodie type of thing, where it's made with sweet potatoes and it's got, candied pecans or some type of nut. Is it pecans?
Yeah, it's candied pecans.
Nailed it.
Yes.
And it's got, caramel drizzle on top of it. That's a little bit different. You've got, the Nebraska Benny has short rib on it. You've got a Benedict that has andouille sausage and like more of a Cajun vibe. So you can kind of have the fun things if you want to come in and take pictures of your food and, put them all over Instagram. But if you're looking to just come in with your family and just have a meal and have things that you like, but also that the kids are going to appreciate and not make a big fuss over, that's on the table as well. Angie, I'm curious, when you have chefs at every restaurant. You have chefs like yourself. You mentioned, you're a part of the executive chef team. How are menus created when you have so many restaurants and so many different voices wanting to speak into what is served at the restaurant?
The best part about having so many different voices and different people is you get that melding pot. So you get everyone's different ideas, and maybe we like a little bit of this idea or a little bit of this idea, and then we're going to meld those together. It's nice to have different perspectives of certain ingredients, different visions, so that we can meld visions together to create an incredible menu. And we're going to be rolling out some LTOs. So just to have some different options, whether it be a traditional option or whether it be a foodie option, to be able to meld those together with the different people is just a really nice part of the company.
Are there like monthly meetings, or what does that look like, the communication between you guys?
We actually have meetings every week.
Okay, weekly meetings.
On Mondays. Yep, every store gets together, and we have a meeting every week. We just go over, goods, positives, bads, whatever it may be, and then we move forward from there. And then we also we text each other outside of work. We communicate with each other. At our location, our servers, they have a group chat. And they have a giant group chat, and they go out for dinner with each other. They go to movies with each other. My kitchen staff, they all hang out with each other. They get together and have dinners at each other's houses. So we truly are a very large family. We also do meals. So like on Sunday, I know that it's really busy, so I'll make a pot of chili. So then at the end of the shift, when we're all tired and we've just, been working for 8 hours straight, we're all going to sit down and have a meal together before we go home. Yeah. So just those different things of melding and different ideas. Sometimes the cooks, like, we want to make the meal today, so they'll make food for everybody. And it's really nice.
And I hate to put you on the spot, but I just think I like this idea. Like, what's an example on this menu of like a really collaborative dish where maybe somebody at one location had an idea, like, oh, we should do, a Cajun take on eggs Benedict, and then somebody else was like, oh, well, we should have this type of shrimp in there, we should have this type of seasoning, and like all these different voices are coming together, and then ultimately like this beautiful dish comes out that like a bunch of voices spoke into. Do you have an example of that?
I would think the Southern Bowl. And that's been on our menu for a while, but I think that one had different voices that brought that dish all together, and it sounds a little different, but it's actually one of my favorite items on this menu. Yeah. Just like on a cold day, it's just like a really nice bowl of happiness and warmth. It has our pork, and our pork au jus, which comes from our slow roasted pork that we make in house. We have our pickled vegetables. We have our grits, which, if you are not a fan of grits, I highly recommend you try, because they are full of flavor. They are full of delicious butter, cheese, and cream. And then just that nice warmth broth, and you get those creamy yolks over that. I think that dish is probably one of my favorites that took different people and melded it all together.
Beautiful. That sounds like a wonderful dish. Maybe not something to do on a day where you want to be super productive, but if it's a
Definitely not.
if it's a lazy Sunday, you're just going to be watching football the rest of the day or going to church or whatever. Sounds awesome.
I have another example to give Angie some kudos here. But a lot of what we do too. So yes, we love those weekly meetings. That you can't recreate what they're doing as a family to do that. The text and the outside. Another thing that we do is we partner with Cisco. And we've had innovation days where we're taking data insights. What are, trending flavors? The world is getting smaller. We want the Midwest to have experiences outside of Nebraska. So bring me flavors from around the world right here in our restaurant. And a really cool option was we were partnering with Cisco around a Mediterranean flavor. The big trend of Mediterranean, I'm certainly a big fan of it. And we were playing around with things, did some awesome things in the kitchen with Cisco. Of course, Angie made your seat at the table. But then post that event is she created with a team something really special in the Mediterranean omelet. We didn't do it that day, but it was a spin-off of that, and it's phenomenal. It's selling. It's delicious. It tastes clean. So another just great idea of showing what collaboration can do and then putting some heart and love in it and creating something special. It's a certain favorite of mine, so thank you, Angie.
Thank you. Thank you. It is very popular. We are getting a lot of great feedback from it. I love the Mediterranean omelet because it is something that if you need to be mindful of what you are eating, you can still come, have the Mediterranean omelet. You can have a foodie experience and still be mindful. And I think that that's one of the great things about our menu is we have options like that to where, you want to go out with friends, you want to have that experience, but you don't want to have to worry about, I can only eat this and that, because that makes your experience not the same as everybody else. And for us, we have a lot of options on here to where you can hang out, you can have a good time, you can have a good conversation, and we're still going to present you with a beautiful meal.
Yeah. To be clear, the Mediterranean omelet, it is egg whites, roasted tomatoes, red onion, Kalamata olives, artichokes, and feta cheese, all topped with avocado. So yeah, a very clean dish. And I think, you look at a lot of this menu, and it's hearty Benedicts. It's the Good Evans breakfast pie, which is basically a pot pie, but in breakfast form. There's the Cambridge, which is, hash browns and a bunch of meat topped with gravy. And we already talked about the Southern Bowl. So you can come in and have a very hearty breakfast. But it's not like, if you want to eat healthy or you're watching what you eat, here's a lightly dressed salad or something. Mm-hmm. There's a thoughtful avocado toast. There's the Mediterranean omelet. There's a couple options like that. So I really like the balance there, and that you're not just the healthy people. You're just like throwing them whatever. Eat this and be satisfied for 20 minutes. Talk to me about that Mediterranean omelet. Walk me through the creation process on a dish like that. It starts with the idea from the insights from Cisco that, hey, Mediterranean is something that's really popular right now. These flavors are not just trendy, but they're important to people, and people are realizing the health benefits of them. So we have this idea, Mediterranean, that's a good thing. How do we take that and ultimately create this?
Well, I just took the idea from the ingredients and from the Mediterranean and what I saw at Cisco and the Cisco chefs were presenting. And then I threw in a few things that I love. The Greek Freak seasoning, I've been in love with that Greek Freak seasoning since it might have come out on the shelf. I don't really know. But I put that on so many things, vegetables, eggs, and I just took their ideas and took what I love and just kind of melded them together and hope that everybody else agreed with it.
She made a beautiful dish.
It sounds excellent. I'm definitely going to have to try it. My wife is a big proponent of the Mediterranean diet, so right up her alley too. In preparing for this, I watched several interviews that various people from Good Evans have done on news segments over the years, and they usually highlighted a variety of dishes, but the one that came up time and time again was that Good Evans breakfast pie. Every time, that was one of the dishes that made the segment. And if somebody hasn't had it, this is the dishes: baked puff pastry, hash brown quinoa and spinach blend, cheddar jack cheese, diced bacon and sausage, all topped with Good Evans sausage gravy made from scratch.
Yes.
And then served with 2 eggs your way and green onion. obviously that's just like taking all of breakfast and bringing it together in one hug of a plate. But why was that the dish that I kept seeing in these interviews? Like, what is it about that dish that speaks to kind of what Good Evans is as a restaurant?
I think, just like you said, it takes all the breakfast options that you love and it just throws it into one melding pot. You get this beautiful crispy hash browns and quinoa and spinach. So if you're a foodie person, we have that aspect for you. Then you just get your traditional sausage, ham, bacon, sausage and the gravy. You have your ham and bacon, cheese. We make our gravy from scratch. I think hands down our gravy is the best around. I won't give out the secret ingredient that makes it a little bit better, but everywhere I go, I always get biscuits and gravy because I always want to just try and see what's out there, and I still just come back. And, it just, all of it together, it just complements each other so well. You get that little bit of salty, a little bit of savory. It's just a beautiful plate all around.
It's my husband's favorite dish, and I'm not a pot pie person, so I was like, nope, not even willing to try it. I've gotten to be the person to eat every single thing on the menu, and I love it, and I love the dish. So it's a well-done dish. Even if somebody feels like they don't like pot pie, like myself, it's a must-try. It's a delicious
I think the
breakfast.
puff pastry on it gives it a little bit of different spin than just your traditional pie crust. You still get that flaky crust that you want. It's not as sweet as pie crust, but you still get that slight sweetness. So I just think overall, if you don't like pot pie, you should definitely give it a try.
Agree.
If someone doesn't like pot pie, I don't know if I trust them. I mean,
I don't know if I trust myself.
maybe I don't eat pot pie all the time because it's not good for my cardiovascular health. But like, there's no doubting it's delicious. Let's talk about the history a little bit, because this was something that I didn't know much about before I started doing research, and even when we were just chatting off the mics, Angie, you were filling me in a little bit. So Brett and Christy Weiss, they were owners of restaurants as part of another breakfast franchise. That franchise unfortunately closed. And I found a quote from Brett in another news article. He said, "As hard as it was, there was not another option. Closing our restaurants and not opening another would have been horrific financially." So basically, they were faced with the option to partner up with another franchise or start their own thing, and they decided to start their own thing. Do I have that right?
Yes.
They did. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I don't know how much you guys know the story. They could probably tell it better if they were here, but how did they come to that decision, and how did, like, the ethos of Good Evans start to form out of that?
I think that their passion for restaurants and for the community, they just wanted to, rather than partner up with another franchise, do this for their own. And that way they had more say in it. They could do things the way that they wanted. They could be more family oriented. I think that aspect might have been one of the reasons why they branched off on their own. I really just think deep down it was more about family and community. I think about starting something locally that wasn't a chain, just starting here in Nebraska, and here it is, and we're going to grow this, and we're going to have our friends and family, and it's going to be a basis for people to gather, and not just another corporation, but a place where everyone is welcomed. Our family, we're going to treat everyone welcome at family. I keep saying, I keep saying friends and family, but I just really feel at the core of it, that is the reason why they started their own.
Yeah, and I just add to that, getting to know Brett and Christy Weiss, they're very faithful, and so they prayed about it. Like, it wasn't an easy decision, but they followed their faith, they followed their prayer, they spoke together as a family, and all of those things. They care so much about community, they care about their family. So I think that all culminated, came together, and it was a wonderful decision.
I think, obviously, the circumstances were not something that they would have chosen, but I think the way that they pivoted is kind of remarkable. And I love it so much because, obviously, I love local restaurants. I understand that chains have their time and place. I know people enjoy them. They're cost-effective, yada, yada, yada. That's not for me. But chains have systems. And they are able to have success because they have strong systems put in place that any manager can take and use that playbook and be successful. And that's why they're able to have consistent food across hundreds, maybe thousands of locations across the country. So the Weisses got that experience of they saw the systems that this other restaurant chain had put in place that were successful. And then they were able to take those and incorporate them into like the local restaurant and have that local restaurant feel. And I think that's how they opened the first two Good Evans opened in 2019, and we've already got 5 just a couple of years later. I think that's why they've been able to expand so quickly, because they understood kind of that growth mindset that chains have, but they were able to take that and put the local twist on it. Does that sound
I love that.
Yes,
Yes,
that
it
does.
does.
One of the beautiful things also is with other restaurants, when they shut down, they don't let their staff know. The staff just comes in and the doors are locked. And then that's it. You have to figure out what you're going to do for bills and for a paycheck. And they did not do that. They kept every single staff member on. Even when they were transitioning, they took staff members and took them to other location and let them work there. So they cared about people. They cared about their team that was already at these locations. They didn't just, okay, we're going to not do this anymore and we're going to transition to this new store. And so we're just going to let all of you go and hope all of you come back. They didn't do that. They kept everyone on. They paid people. They made sure that their teams were taken care of. And I think also by doing that, we have so many people that have been with the company for over 10 years that have stayed through the transition. And that's not something that you find anymore. A lot of people, they just get upset and they will just move to another job, or, they will leave because of a corporation or because of management. And I think because Brett and Christy care so much, that's how we've created such a tight family, is because everyone has stayed from the transition. And so we've had all these people, that were, when it was the old location, work there, and now we're this new location, and they've all stayed. And that's just created this experience that you cannot recreate that. You can't recreate those feelings and those emotions and the tightness of it all. And that we just all mesh well together.
Because you all created something together.
Yes.
Like there was a crisis point where everything could have crumbled apart, and instead everybody rallied and created something new that you now all share. And I think that just, those people who have been around for 5, 10, however many years, that extended period, they have more of an ownership in it, because they feel like Good Evans, like they were there when Good Evans started from the ground up. And they were a piece of that forming. And so, you keep getting on yourself for using the word family, but I think that there's a reason why there's that familial aspect, because in a lot of ways it feels like these people are what we've fought through life together with.
We did. And that is why Good Evans, it is our family. It's everyone who's been there. We all care about each other. We don't just come in and talk about work. We ask, like, how was your days off? How was your days? What do you want to do later after we get off of work? And everybody has that just camaraderie and that tightness, and we've all just welcomed each other in. And I just think what Brett and Christy have created is such a beautiful thing, and it's not something that I find at other restaurants that I've been at. I still go out to breakfast at other places, and I do feel, you can feel when a restaurant is a family. You can feel that tightness, and you can also just feel that we're just here to get you some food and get you back out the door, and that's not a good feeling to have. And so I just feel like overall what they've created is just something beautiful.
How did each of you get involved with Good Evans originally?
I'll go first. Yes, so actually I came from a totally different side of the world. I worked for Cargill for 22 years, and so I'm coming full circle in my career, because back then, my biggest customers were like a Cisco, a PepsiCo, a Nestle. Now we get to be their customers, and I actually love that part. It was the CFO that reached out for this position back at the beginning of 2026, and I thought, wow, this is such a different side of things. I was very intrigued to take a different perspective after being at such a large corporate organization and now being at this organization. What's different for me is, yes, it is family oriented. I mean, at our leadership meetings, we talk about a personal win. We talk about a professional win. My goodness, we pray at our leadership team meetings. I've never had that in my entire career, and it's so genuine and authentic. And at the speed that we can move. So when I was in a big corporate organization, there was a ton of red tape. It took multi-levels of approvals to get anything done. Where here, no, it's a let's prove it with data insights and a genuine, heartfelt conversation. Make sure there's an ROI with everything, right? But now I think being here at this company, it'd be hard to imagine ever working in a large corporate organization again, because I love this feeling. I love making this big of an impact. And certainly, just as Angie said, I believe in the family.
It is nice to go into work and know that if you send an email, you are heard. It doesn't just go up to some department or, someone in some level, and then they might pass it on to the next corporate person. It's nice that you send an email and then you get a response from somebody. And when you have an idea, you can reach out and, talk to somebody about your ideas, and they are heard and they're received. And then next thing you know, we're creating it out on the menu. So I love that about Good Evans. And I myself, I would have a hard time going and working for another larger corporation as well, because of everything that Tamra has said, of all the red tape that you have to go through. And here it's really, you're having a real conversation and then the changes happen. And it's a really nice feeling.
Tamra, you've mentioned you're still pretty new with the company, but Angie, you've been a part of this for much longer. How did you get connected with Good Evans originally?
I got connected with Good Evans originally through my husband. My husband, John, is the general manager at our Lincoln location. He was actually with the company before it was Good Evans and was there along with the transition. And then I was working at another job, and he was talking to me about this new menu and new menu items, and I was giving my thoughts and opinions on it. And then COVID happened, and I was just sitting at home, and he was just like, do you want to come and work? And I said, sure. Well, I'm not doing anything. Let me just come on and work. I'm already familiar with the menu and the idea of it. And I came on, and I just fell in love, and I've been here ever since now, over 5 years.
And what was your background in cooking prior to this?
I have been cooking for over 20 years. I have worked with private chef, who is classically trained French chef. I worked privately for a family for almost 10 years, and that was a really beautiful feeling to watch their kids grow up and be part of that family. And that's probably honestly why I love Good Evans so much, is because I get that feeling again. I get to be with food that I love. I get to create beautiful food. I get to be around family. I get to watch people grow. I get to watch all of our staff members, all of their kids and all of their families grow up. And so I think that's why I came over to Good Evans, and why I didn't stay and transition to another corporation or transition to another family, is I still got this same feeling here at Good Evans as I did at my last job working privately with the family.
With so much experience in your career, I'm interested. What are the pros and cons of working at a breakfast restaurant? To be clear, we've talked almost all breakfast. Good Evans also has lunch. You guys have lunch options as well. I think you're primarily known as a breakfast spot, but what are the pros and cons of working at a breakfast lunch spot as opposed to one who does the majority of its serves the majority of its customers at dinner?
Definitely a pro is that you're always off in the evening. So you're always home for family dinners, and you're just there to enjoy that evening life. I'm a morning person, so I don't mind waking up early. To me, I'm already up, and so now I'm just up and going to work. Another pro is I get to watch the sunrise every day. I get to wake up, I get to have a beautiful cup of coffee, and I get to watch the sunrise. And you just can't beat that here. I guess a con would be, having to wake up early on a snowy day where you just want to stay in bed and you just don't want to go out. other than that, I really don't have any other cons.
So as long as it's not snowing.
As long as it's not snowing, it's a beautiful day.
Working breakfast is the way to go.
Yeah.
Tamra, I have a lot of chefs and restaurateurs on this show. I don't have very many people on the marketing side of things. So I was excited to have you on the episode today. What are your roles and responsibilities as Chief Marketing Officer?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, of course, it's revenue, right? We need to drive revenue so we can keep expanding and keep growing. If I would, what really makes me excited about that revenue piece is, yes, delivering our great food. It even can be delivered. If you can't make the restaurant experience, you can order it online. And guess what? It shows up pretty delightful. But what are all those ways that we can drive revenue and profitability? And another part of that is the innovation side of the house of it, right? The supply chain, the partnerships with our vendors. Cisco and PepsiCo were just a couple that mentioned, but we have to keep people intrigued. It's a lot knowing, playing with data and insights, really who's spending more money and who's willing to go order third-party delivery, do all of those things. It's making sure that we're attacking all the generations. And so millennials and Gen Z are very different than Gen X and boomers. And what's going to keep them coming back? What's going to make them excited? And that means you have to be willing to adapt. You have to create new flavors. You have to be spontaneous. It's a tough word to say, I guess.
It is.
But you have to deliver global flavors from around the world in a thoughtful, meaningful way that's authentic. And that's really exciting to me when it comes to driving revenue, driving innovation, being thoughtful about what guests want to see and what the whole family. I think something for me what sparks, I have a family, I have 7 people in my family, so a husband and 5 kids that all have different preferences. And then my grandparent, my parents. So when we go out for breakfast, it's hard to suffice everyone. What excites me about Good Evans and the art of possible for us to continue to grow is because we can absolutely do that. We can make everyone very happy despite what generation they're in and keep them coming back for more because we are adapting. We'll have our homemade Pop-Tart flavors of the month changing all the time. We'll have new LTOs and new thoughtful dishes that are inspiring because it is meeting the different generational needs and the thoughtfulness of the world getting smaller, and we all deserve to taste those global flavors. One thing we didn't get to talk about, too, is, revenue in terms of offering zero-proof cocktails. So those fun, my teenagers certainly love to come get them, and we have 2 new on the menu, and then a thoughtful list of a new cocktail menu that we also partnered with different organizations, and we have a very talented individual on our marketing team that also has a mixology background. So when you can take data insights with the ROI in mind and thinking about what your consumers would love, what would excite them, what would get them coming back for more, we have a beautiful new list. One final thing to add to that, because it is an LTO coming, did you know that we roast our own coffee beans for all of our Good
I did know that, yes.
Yes, which is super exciting. And we're coming out with a new espresso martini that Tamra came out with. It is delicious, thoughtful. We use 1883 syrups. They're the cleanest that you can get. I'd say look that up. And so that's the type of things as a chief marketing officer we're working on. We're working on, how do we grow? How do we increase our revenue in a thoughtful way? And I think if you're speaking and you're doing it from the heart and you're meeting the needs of the guests that we so care about, it is genuine. Like, we care every time a guest comes in. It is so clear, as you can hear from Angie. We care about that experience, whether it's my mom and dad taking out grandparents with my kids, all generations we care about, more thoughtful. So it's an exciting role to be in because it's fun. The products are amazing. And it's a genuine, true company that cares about people. So very happy to be here.
I don't know if you even did this intentionally or if it was just like a Freudian slip. But for those listening, Tamra brought in Good Evans' normal menu and she brought in the special menu. And when you were talking about finding the insights to engage Gen X and Gen Z, you pulled out the special menu. and I looked on it. I looked on it, and zero-proof cocktails, that's all the rage right now. People are looking for those. They're extremely popular. House-made Pop-Tart and breakfast dog, which is pancake-battered sausages that are on a plate. Like, this is the Instagram stuff right here. These are the things that the young people are looking for. Not that they're not looking for stuff on the normal menu. There's plenty of good stuff here too. But the specialty menu is an opportunity to kind of grab the generation that's always looking for something new, the generation that doesn't just want to come in and order pancakes for the 15th time. You know, they don't want to be a regular where they're just ordering the same thing. They're always looking for something engaging and something new. And this is kind of the opportunity to do that. To throw, hey, we've got a new, I don't even know, pumpkin spice, homemade Pop-Tart on our menu. It's the size of a football. You throw that on Instagram, that's what's going to get the younger generation. Heck, that's going to get me. I'm not a young person, but that's going to get me to be like, hey, that gives me like another reason to move Good Evans up on my list in my brain of places that I need to visit. I just thought that was so interesting when you're talking about the younger generation. Yeah, like, specials are kind of the way that you can engage with them, right?
Yeah, keep them wanting to come back, and it's going to be a new flavor next time.
Yeah, I'm really excited about these also because we do get to showcase different menu items for a limited time so that we can see how well people are accepting them. And I get to experiment and get a little more on my foodie side, if I will, for the LTO menus. So I'm excited about that as well.
You mentioned just the insights that you've been able to glean. As someone who's so fresh in this job, especially having a career in another industry, like, what are some of the most interesting insights that you feel like you've learned in the 9 months since you've come on to Good Evans' team?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I love that. I think for data and insights, I've always been doing. Data insights have always driven my career at Cargill. I was very lucky to work in 7 different functions, different side of the house, right, like I mentioned. But I think for this is the adaptability of speed, how fast that we do need to move through flavors. And, that when we showed, I care about all generations, for Pete's sakes. I'm a Gen X. I'm 45 years old, feeling my age lately. But seeing that, like looking at that at a chart and taking those data insights that, it unfortunately, the Gen X and the boomers, they're going down for restaurants, right? And it is those millennials and Gen Zers, they're trending up. And, they are more willing to spend the money. They are more willing to try things. So you have to, yes, meet every single person that comes through our door and make it the most delightful experience. But the strategy on how you handle those generations and making sure, as Angie said, that there's something for everyone and making that come to fruition in a profitable way is a challenge, and it's an exciting one, and I believe we're doing it at Good Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and mentioning the challenge of still creating a beautiful menu with beautiful options and controlling the cost is getting more and more difficult for sure, because just the cost of all the ingredients, and we don't want to have to raise our prices. We want to keep it affordable for everyone to be able to come in, but we still want to provide you with a beautiful menu and different options and different aspects and bringing all those different ingredients together.
I so agree. And that what Angie just said reminded me of what something I've majorly learned in the last 9 months is it's tough being in the restaurant business, right? Margins are small.
Razor thin.
Razor thin. More than any other industry I've worked in, that's been like, whoa, I had no idea. So being thoughtful of and respectable that as a family-owned company, we are doing all we can to make sure it's an affordable meal and you're getting delightful options and healthy options. And you can, like you mentioned, if you really want to dig in and be lazy on a football Sunday, come here, eat. We'll make sure that happens. But that has been the biggest surprise to me is I think price is something we're all watching out for, right? In the economy and where you eat, what you eat. Those choices, just how razor thin these profits are is a challenge in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me one example, Angie? Because I think, especially the last couple of years, maybe post-COVID, people have been hearing, prices on ingredients are going up. Prices on ingredients. Restaurants don't want to increase their prices, but if they don't, then they're losing money and they might go out of business. What is one example of, and I'm not expecting you to just come up with like the percentage, like eggs are up 200% since November 2003 or something like that, or 2023. I'm not expecting you to have that, but like, what's an example of an ingredient that people might not even think about, where it's like, yeah, this is increased, the price for this has increased exponentially since, X time. Is there anything that comes to mind?
I mean, definitely the two major factors are eggs and beef. Those have gone up so much. It just, when you look back 4-5 years ago at the cost compared to now, you're just like, wow. Like I know that it increased, but it's just a sticker shock when you actually see it. I think one thing that people would be surprised about is tea, loose leaf tea. Loose leaf tea has gone up oddly a lot. And that one was one that caught me off guard myself. When I saw it, I was like, wow, I would not have even thought loose leaf tea.
Well, it's an odd phenomenon because, like, especially a couple of years ago, and the egg prices have kind of stayed, but there was that major hike in egg prices where 4 or 5 years ago, you could get a dozen eggs for like $1.20 or something at the grocery store. Now you're paying $3 or $4. And that's kind of normalized, and we all accept that now. But like if we see that same price increase at a restaurant, we're like, wait, what? You're raising the prices on my dish? So like we accept that we are paying more at the grocery store, but then we like don't compute that, oh, the restaurant is having to pay more too. So it's just a weird psychological thing, and I wish people were more understanding, and they're just not that understanding.
This is why your podcast is important, Dan.
I'm doing what I can. All 6 listeners are going to be very educated after this.
No.
7, 8.
Yes.
We're increasing. All right. We are getting up against it on time, but there are 2 questions that I like to ask all my guests, and I think you guys, just with your backgrounds and your roles, I think you'll have really interesting responses to this question. And one might be something that we just kind of talked about a little bit, but I'll leave it open-ended to you. What is something about the restaurant industry, working in restaurants, food, cooking, however you want to take that you feel like most guests don't understand, but you wish they did understand?
Oh my gosh, I was just talking about this the other day. I guess one thing would be restaurant etiquette. Restaurant etiquette, I love children, don't get me wrong, but the things that children do when they are contained inside of a booth, when the parents are both there, to me, we provide colors and paper. And so I guess for restaurant etiquette would be just make sure that your kid is coloring on the paper. So many times we have kids color on the glass and the table and the booth, and it happens and it's fine. Just our serving staff has to scrub that off and work really hard to get all of that off. And so sometimes when there are several booths after a busy Sunday, where kids have colored on them, it makes it a little difficult for our serving staff. I would say that's probably the biggest complaints that I hear our staff say, which is a weird thing, but
I have 5 kids. I hope to goodness that they've never done that. They're older now. I don't think that they would. I think that thoughtfulness, I always in a restaurant will think, I think sometimes what even servers or staff deal with, and working hard to make sure it's a delightful experience. And do we fall? Have we fallen? Yes, we have. It has definitely not been perfect. But I think recognizing that those are all human beings that are trying really hard to give you that experience. I always say, wherever I go in a restaurant, if it's a younger server, I'm like, that could be my daughter, Lily. That could be Hannah. That could be Macy serving. And how would I want them to be, even if they are falling down a little bit? So I think that human aspect in the restaurant, I think sometimes just as that example as a busy parent who's trying to enjoy a meal, just always making sure you're thoughtful for that.
And finally, to get you guys out of here on a positive note, and this is just widely we've got somebody who's been in the kitchen for over 20 years. We've got somebody who's been on the marketing side for 9 months. What is your favorite part about being a part of the restaurant industry?
Oh, my favorite part, and it is the people. I mean, I love the people. I love the hospitality aspect of it. We have a lot of regulars that come in, and I love that. And I love that we all know each other by name. I love that all of our staff greets our regulars by name. The regulars greet our staff by name. And one of our regulars said the most wonderful thing the other day was coming into Good Evans is like coming into Cheers, where everybody knows your name. And to me, that was just such a beautiful thing. It just puts a smile on your face.
I love that, Angie. For me, we have to do one more plug for Good Evans. And so this will come out after this airs, but we will be filming for America's Best Restaurant on November 3rd in Lincoln for Good Evans, because the ratings, significant amount of ratings, very high ratings. Obviously, the experience is incredible. The food is incredible. What takes it back for me is being in the restaurant business and now loving it. One of my favorite childhood restaurants, it was called Dudes, was filmed on America's Best Restaurant. And it's just that feeling. My grandparents would take us there. It was a special treat to get steak, but really it was about the experience. Some of my favorite pictures, and my grandparents have passed, is with my kids enjoying a meal, us enjoying a meal at Dude's Steakhouse with my family. So how important to me, I think, especially as I'm getting older, that those moments, that you can be in a restaurant with unforgettable moments with the people you love most. And then I'm taking that here and so proud that Good Evans will be featured on America's Best Restaurant. And me wanting to be in the restaurant business, it's a bit of a bug, because we get to work on creating those experiences for families each and every day. And that feeling I had at Dude's Steakhouse with my grandparents and my parents and my sisters and my cousins, I feel that taking my family to Good Evans, it's that same experience and feeling. And for that, I'm so proud of it and proud to be in this industry for it.
That's just the absolute beauty of it, because we've all had those experiences where you're in a restaurant, especially if you're with family or you're with a date or you're with a group of friends, and it's just like, this just feels right. We're having great food. We're having a good time. We don't feel rushed. And to be able to take that and turn that around and be like, now we're going to give that to other people. I think that's that extra level, that experience at Good Evans that you definitely feel. So people, if you want to get into Good Evans, you got plenty of options. We've got 5 locations. We've got a 6th coming to Lincoln next year. Congratulations on that. Congratulations that you're going to be featured on America's Best Restaurants. That's a big deal. Tamra and Angie, thank you so much for coming in today and giving me some time on the podcast. This was a wonderful conversation.
Thanks so much for having us, Dan. Proud to be here with you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.